Hey, how's it going? Once again, here we are, so let's go. I'll start with my resume. My name is Javier Ivan Miranda Resendiz. I'm 24 years old and I'm originally from Mexico City. I finished my studies at the Escuela de Iniciación Artística number 2, where I acquired my theoretical practical knowledge of music theory, harmony, guitar, music history, and choral ensembles. There I was also able to develop teaching skills such as the creation of learning strategies, both group and individual, and adaptable to the needs of each student. The development of dynamics to reinforce what has been learned, such as tasks, examples, both classic and updated to elements with which students are familiar, and simplifying techniques to memorize and master theoretical practical concepts. These skills allow me to develop study plans and be able to teach private guitar and basic music theory classes, as well as adequate follow-ups of the student who has never played the guitar or who already has basic notions can obtain the correct playing technique from scratch without risk of suffering injuries that could affect their learning. The study plan used is selected based on the goals of the interested student and can be either for entering the medium superior level or for simple recreational purposes. I also have 3 years of experience in the delivery of food products, customer service, and basic knowledge of baking and pastry, such as making white bread, sourdough bread, decorated biscuits, cinnamon rolls, cookies, cupcakes, cheesecakes, brownies, and steam buns and pizza. Now I will talk about some of the plans of my future. Due to the time my rehabilitation requires to be able to enter the superior level as a music teacher, I decided that I'm going to study a second career to be able to support my musical studies when my recovery is finished. I'm still deciding which career to pursue, but it's directed towards computing and IT. I'd like to specialize in the development of AIs or cybersecurity. I recently acquired a taste for programming and the assembly and repair of computers because when I was looking to buy one, I realized it was cheaper to assemble it myself, and so I did. And I also configured it, and fortunately after 2 months of use it hasn't presented significant failures that require a specialized technician. I was able to solve everything by myself and it works perfectly. At the same time, I'm going to take courses in hardware development and repair, as well as advanced use of Office tools and the use of programming languages such as JavaScript or Python. Also, I'm going to continue to polish my English so I can finally be able to conquer the B2 level and then advance to C1 and C2 and get a job with that too, such as tech support or whatever I can find. It'll be necessary for what I plan to study anyway. In the meantime, I'll buy the guitar and equipment of my dreams and continue with my musical regularization without so much pressure, along with private lessons. Now, I will talk about my impressions of the first 4 chapters of the survival book. Chapter 1. I read it again and again, and I'm not convinced by the idea that the author considers survival as the central symbol of identity of the Canadian nation, both because of the fight for survival in the relentless nature, as for the relevance of its culture among more developed countries, such as its southern neighbor. Because if that's what it is about, it seems to me that it could be the symbol of any Latin American country, or even any underdeveloped country, and it isn't to undermine this opinion or a matter of seeing who's doing worse. The thing is that it doesn't seem right to me to talk about such a general concept and see it as the central core of a nation's identity. In the end, all humans fight for the best opportunities, with the main goal the book itself has as its title, Survive. Chapter 2. I identify with the ideal of maintaining this trust towards nature. In the end, their way of behaving is reflected in their own creations, their children. For example, there are wild animals that are very beautiful, but that doesn't mean you can interact with them or try to control them. On the contrary, you must respect their space if you want to live. The Alps from afar are a majestic sight, but being inside them will surely not be so majestic. As a kid, I always imagined how exciting it would be to be inside the mountains. After climbing one, I prefer to see them from afar. I consider that nature is alive, but the feeling of compassion is something typical of some species, including ours. Obviously, it isn't a general rule since we don't have it all the time. In the end, I don't consider nature to be indifferent. It only exists like us, and it taught us that our duty is to survive adversity and always find a way again, until we are free and our time on earth ends. Chapter 3. Animals really don't have rights. These are our inventions that only works with our language and our conscience. However, they deserve value as living beings. What distinguishes us from them, and the author says, makes us the bad guys, it's greed. An animal can fight for food but when its food is enough, the animal will not fight to steal food from others, so it can sell it later, increase its resources in order to create a heritage, and then it can leave it to their descendants. They fight, and when they have enough, they enjoy it. Cruelty exists thanks to morality, which is also our invention and exclusive to us. The truth is that the law of nature it is to be careful of the strongest ones. For them, there isn't such thing as quick death to their prey so they can stop suffering, and it's scientifically proven that the more intelligent an animal is, the more creative it becomes to destroy its neighbor. I think that in the end we're all living beings that came to this world for non-particular reasons, and our duty is to take what we can from our environment and protect it from any invader. That's what nature taught to us. And Chapter 4. The Canadian Indians share the same history as all colonized people, loss of identity as a result of territorial and cultural conquest. Basically, a thematic guide to Canadian Indigenous literature would also be needed, but you can easily sense that it wouldn't be a bestseller like Margaret Atwood's book. They are past cultures from another time. They don't fit today because no space was left for them. Their eradication was so strong that with just a few centuries, compared to the time they exist, their population is completely eclipsed by the Frankish and the English genes. And not to mention the culture that with globalization it makes me wonder what our true identity is. If one thing is certain, it's that it is no longer found in those cultures. Our identity is a mix of ideals from here and there, but they revolve around our times. Past cultures can continue to be dissected for the love of knowledge, but their time is over, and they become simply another chapter in the history of humanity. Tradition may prevail among minorities, but those at the top will never allow them to have power again. And to wrap things up, my favorite product, which is pizza. The first traces of pizza were found in ancient Egypt and Greece, long before Italy conquered it and made it an essential part of its gastronomy, its history, and its culture. However, there are theories that claim that the first pizza in history had been made in the country more than 2,000 years ago. In fact, a round bread cut into 8 portions, which inevitably reminds us the pizza we know, was found in the ruins of Pompeii, the city of ancient Rome that was devastated by the eruption of a volcano. Before the 17th century, pizza was being made only with bread, olive oil, garlic, onion, and herbs. It was called pizza bianca. Its confirmed origin, as we know it today, it's in the city of Naples, and it has been one of the most popular and iconic Napolitan recipes since the 1600s. In 1930, the first pizzeria in the world, named Antica Porta Alba, was opened in the city, and then it became the city of pizzas. With the departure of the recipe from Italy, and its spread around the world, obviously mentioning the New York style, with mozzarella cheese, pepperoni, and ketchup, pizza is currently being one of the most important fast food sales businesses, representing 40% of total sales around the globe. And that was it for this final project. I hope you like it and see you on Saturday. Goodbye.